It's time now for the Kill the Can podcast.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Kill the Can podcast. It is actually Monday morning. I have been trying very hard to release podcasts every Tuesday. Last week, actually, I've been dealing with a really nasty sinus and ear infection for the last couple of weeks now. I'm going on 3 weeks now where I can't hear anything out of my right ear. Long story short, I was supposed to release this podcast last week on Tuesday, and both my guest and I were both under the weather. So long story short, we managed to record it this past Friday. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to release this podcast this week. I'm hoping to be back to feeling better and get back onto the regular weekly release schedule. I am super excited for this podcast. This is none other than Kill the Can member number 1. This is Aquaman. Back in the forum days, every member that joined the forums had a number associated with them. And again, this is Kill the Can member number 1, Aquaman. I have known him for a long, long time. He is one of the individuals who is directly responsible for the Kill the Can community and everything that it is today. Enjoy this conversation. I know I did. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Aquaman, member number 1.
Well, good. I appreciate you making the time to join me here today. It's been too long. How you been?
It's been too long. I've been really good. Really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How's your quit treating you?
Oh man, it's fabulous. This is I wish it was this way the last time, I swear.
Yeah?
I feel great.
What's different?
You know, I there's nothing I can really put my finger on it except that this time I feel like I accepted it. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
So how long were you quit the first time?
So I think it was just shy of 1,100 days.
Okay. And you're beyond that now, right?
Oh yeah, I'm almost 11:57 today.
That's awesome. So did you, when you crossed that previous mark, was it different? Did anything change? Did you recognize it? Was it just another day?
No, I don't think it was just another day. I mean, I recognized what I was doing, and you know, it was a sad day, but I tell you, it was something I thought I had to do. And you can edit stuff out in and out of this, right?
Yeah, I could take anything out you want. Yeah.
Excellent. So, because I know that we all had discussions when I was talking about leaving the site and stuff, and that the doctors told me that my kidneys were starting to fail because of the antidepressants I was on.
Yep.
And my GP told me that I needed to he said, you just go back to dipping. I was like, what?
I remember that.
Yeah. And then I talked to a colleague of mine, another engineer. His brother was a heart surgeon in Texas.
Okay.
And he said, do you want to talk to him? I was like, yeah. And a heart surgeon told me to go back to dipping. You know, 2 doctors tell me to go back to dipping, and that's the God's honest truth.
That's crazy.
The heart surgeon said, you know, what you're going through right now, your brain is, you know, running on 4 cylinders, and you know what? That's a bunch of shit. Your brain's not running on 4 cylinders; it's running on a different gas.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so those 2 doctors told you to go back to nicotine because what? Because of some other medications that you were on?
Yeah, because of the anxiety I was going through, because of the anxiety I had. Yeah, you know, building KTC and QSX probably got me through my son's death. You know, I think that us going through that got me through my son's death. But my wife going through, when she hit that depression that she went through,
yep,
that was just more than I could possibly take. The anxiety was through the roof.
Okay.
and we were building a new market in Texas, and I was there all the it was pretty bad. But I, I I I just don't think that nicotine was the answer. Seemed like it was at the time, though.
Sure. Oh, sure. Well, and it's and that was one of those, like, it's an easy thing to fall back into, right? I mean, it's like you've spent at that point a couple years, well, more than a couple years, trying to get away from it, right? And when you hear a doctor tell effectively give you a free pass, right, to go back
Yeah,
to it, that's pretty easy. That's a pretty easy path to follow, right? I
right.
mean, I could totally logically I can understand that. Do you remember, did you struggle with that decision?
Oh my
Like,
God. Yeah,
did you?
yeah, big time.
And what was that first dip back like? Do you remember?
You think it would be euphoria? It was nothing. It was. I won't say it was regret, but it wasn't what I thought it would be. Just,
Did you get that wicked head buzz that you did the first time you chewed?
I don't think. No, I don't think I did.
No. Wow. So you didn't even get that, like, that that dream that we all chase, right? You didn't even get that.
No.
It was just kind of meh. And then how long did you dip before you quit again?
What was it? 12 years?
Was it 12 years? Holy shit.
2000. Let's see, maybe 2008 to 2021. Yeah, 12 years. About
Wow.
2009 to yeah, about 12
And how
years.
long before you quit the first time, how long did you chew?
Oh man, 32 years, 33 years
Okay.
easily.
Okay. So you used for 32 years, and you were quit for what, two or three or four? No, let's see. You were quit 1100 days.
Yeah,
So that's
3 years.
yeah, that's 3 years. Okay. And then, well, I'm as you know very well, I'm thrilled that you're back to where you are. It really pumps me up to hear that there's something different about this one. Let me ask you this. When you decided to quit again after those 12 years, like, what was different? Like, did you feel like you were at that point going against doctor's orders? Because you had almost effectively been told by two doctors to go back to dip. So, like, what changed?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was definitely worried that I was going to end up having to take antidepressants and stuff again, but I didn't. I didn't go to a doctor. I didn't go to a doctor and say I want antidepressants or anything like that. I First, my wife is a totally different person now. She's I think the birth of our granddaughter is what brought her out of depression,
Okay.
and so that definitely helped. Me not traveling as much, that was another part, I guess. But I still thought, when we first quit dipping, how many people were on the antidepressants when we were on the old site? Everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot. Yeah. There was a lot for sure.
I think it should have just called it the Lexapro support group.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So, but this
Um,
time I didn't even do it. I didn't. I I I have used no antidepressants whatsoever.
and you feel pretty good.
Yeah, I feel great.
That's awesome. And now, was your wife's depression, was that brought on by your son, you think?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, which is completely understandable. And then how old's your granddaughter now?
She just turned 13.
Oh, wow. Holy shit. It's been
Yeah.
okay. I didn't realize it's been that long. Okay. Well, are they do you get to see them a lot? Are they close?
All the time. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And you're still in Georgia, right?
Yep.
Awesome. Um, so you are, do you how much of those way back in the day, you are Kill the Can member number one, right? How much of that old school history do you still remember?
Almost like it was yesterday.
It's crazy, isn't it? It,
Yeah.
it it's funny. I was thinking about, as I was preparing for this conversation, I was just kind of thinking back. I'm like, God, I've known Jim for like a long time, 18, 19 years at this point. And so I quit in July of '06, and we started Kill the Can in November, right?
Yeah.
Of '06. And so I remember like at the beginning there, I was past 100 days, but like I was still kind of having some super bad days, tooth and nail. And I remember just diving into that. And it really, I think you said it earlier, it really helped me get through some really tough times in my quit, just to have something else to focus on. So I will kind of like be eternally grateful for that, and for what we have built over the years. I think it's still, I still look back at it in awe, just kind of how far it has come over these last almost 2 decades.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful thing to see that even now the site is still the same as when we first started. It's even the move to Discord. I see other people talking about the drama this, drama that, and maybe it's the Discord drama. Yeah, it was always been drama.
Oh, yeah, it's just a different mechanism, right?
Yeah, I think who was it? I think it was Chief. Chief threatened to kill me one time.
Did he really?
Yeah. They threatened to kill me.
I remember he came in, you're talking about Derek, right? Chief Man?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he came to Cleveland one year for a Indians game, and we had dinner beforehand, and he like went to the bathroom and literally like just ghosted me, just never came back. And I was like, and he's not from around here. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I can't remember where he was coming from. And I was like, I was calling him, like he wasn't answering his phone. And I don't know that I've spoken to him since that day. Like I've seen him on, like I had talked to him on the forum, but I was like, dude, what happened? He's like, yeah, I went to the bathroom and I was drunk and blah, blah. I mean, like I've never had that experience, but yeah, he was a weird dude, wasn't he? God. And he was a young guy, wasn't he? If I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. He threatened to show up to the meet we had in Sarasota. And I was like, oh God, please.
God. Yeah, there's something about a good kind of keyboard warrior, right? That knock on wood, I don't think we've ever really had any serious real life drama that I can think of. Can you think of anything? I mean, other than some threats, but I don't think we've ever had an actual altercation in real life that I'm aware of.
There you are. Lost you there for a second.
Oh, sorry. I said I don't know that I'm not aware of any real life altercations that we've actually had.
I don't think so.
Yeah, there's been some threats or whatever. So you mentioned Discord, and you of all people can weigh in on this. What do you think the pros and cons are to Discord versus the way things were back in the day, in the old school forums?
I mean, the pros are it's almost like a instant chat, like a chat room we had.
Yep.
We were always looking for something like that, instead of something separate from the forums, something that was part of the forums. The cons got to be, some of the gifts have been absolutely horrific. I mean, not foul mouth,
right?
Tub girl horrific, but still pretty bad.
Yeah, well, and I suppose we could turn them off, but I don't know about you. I mean, like between memes and GIFs in 2024, if I had those taken away from me, I would have a hard time communicating. Just in general,
same thing. I don't want them taken away. I don't want the GIFs taken away. I just think people need to use restraint in certain areas.
Yeah,
and know that people are doing this at work.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that, and I think there's also this, and maybe this is just the digital world that we live in, but if somebody asks you nicely, hey, could you tone it down? Could you not do that? Or don't post that in here, those kind of things. I think there's got to be some responsibility on the poster too, to be like, hey, look, I was asked nicely. Maybe I should not be an asshole. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. I don't know. And that's not a reflection, I don't think, on Kill the Can. I think it's just in kind of society in general today.
Yeah.
There's just not a whole lot of I don't know, respect, for lack of a better word, these days. At least that's in my opinion. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I off base?
Oh no, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. Especially we're like, hey, we got this whole section. You can post whatever you want over here. to, have at it. Well, almost whatever you want.
Right. Right. Um, have you so back to your current quit for a minute. Have you said it was different this time around, and have you been like, aside from a mindset, have you been doing anything differently than you did back in 06, 07?
Yeah. Instead of there are days when I'm sure everybody who quits has days they wake up and they're like, man, we romanticizing the quit, thinking about, being at work and having that first cup of coffee and putting a dip in and settling in. And you start getting into a mindset where you start thinking like that, nonstop every day. Instead of doing that, you wake up and you bring yourself to a different mindset. I'm no longer a slave. I'm getting ready to go on I'm leaving for Mexico in the morning. We're
Are
going
you
to
really?
Mexico. Yeah.
Nice.
We're going to Mexico. We're going for 12 days. I, I would, I would, I would have at least 4 rolls of Copenhagen in my suitcase right now.
Yeah.
At least 4 rolls. And, I don't even have to think about that right now. And then you're sitting there going, well, all right, if I run out of 4 rolls, what happens if I get carjacked and they take my stash?
Yeah.
Where am I going to get Copenhagen? I don't have to think about that.
That's all. Do you remember the just like terror that would come over you when you like walked out of the house and you didn't have your can of dip? Do you remember? Like, did that ever happen to you?
Oh yeah.
It was like the worst feeling in the world. Like, do you turn around? Do you go home? Do you stop at the store? You buy something? Like, yeah. I mean, and going without it wasn't even an option, was it? Like, it just wasn't an option.
Nope. Everybody. I mean, how many people do the pocket slap? They start slapping on their
Yeah.
pockets, and
Yeah.
they get to that back pocket, and there's nothing there, and they just freeze dead. You can see it. You can see it
Yeah.
in their face. They just freeze.
Now, were you ever a fake dip guy in either quit?
Not the first one. Not the first one. I don't really remember that much. I think that back then there was back off, and that was it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah. It
Rocky
wasn't
Mountain Dew or
not nearly
something.
the way it is today. Yeah.
And and this time I did believe it or not, I ended up with back off. It was the best one for Copenhagen, at least I thought.
Was
And
it? Okay.
yeah, I did it for about 200 days, and then it just kind of lost its luster, and I just kind of quit.
Didn't really need that. It's funny you say that. That's almost exactly the way it was for me. I was like a can a day for a good 180, 200 days, and then one day I just kind of didn't reach for it, and it was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm done with this. And at this point, I'll do some stuff for review purposes or sample or whatever. But I mean, I can't tell you the last time I quote unquote used it, other than outside of reviewing it. What's what's your wife's kind of mindset? Happy, sad, irritated? I mean, obviously she's happy that you're healthier, but like, what is her, like, where has she been on this journey with you throughout from 06 through now?
So when I went back to it, she didn't really, I don't think she even really cared. Um,
Really?
yeah, she didn't seem to really care. And as part of her recovery process, she decided to go back to school and become a nurse.
Okay.
And the more she got through school, the worse she looked at my dipping. And then
Okay.
when she graduated, she started talking about congestive heart failure and seeing people who had dipped and the lifestyles, teeth falling out and things like that. And I was like, yeah, okay, 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 okay. But it was my granddaughter who actually got me to quit. And it's funny you say that. I was thinking about it this morning. Outside of because I'm kind of nervous talking to you believe it or not, even though we've known each other forever,
Yeah.
the only time I ever feel guilt is when I'm in the KTC environment, the QSX environment. Outside, nobody gives a crap about the fact that I dip or don't dip.
Yeah.
But when I go to kiss my wife goodbye in the morning, when we go to work, I can see that look in her eyes that she knows she's not about to get a freaking cat turd transfer, you know,
Right.
and I can see that, and it kind of makes it worth it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's all. So then, okay, she didn't necessarily care when you went back, and then she became a nurse, and then was she after? So after she became a nurse and started talking about all of the the heart failure and the this, that, and the other thing, was she pressuring you, or was she supportive?
Supportive of dipping? Nah, no.
Yeah.
She was. There was some pressure, but not enough to where she was, trying to push me into a corner to where I'd fight back. If you know
Okay.
what I mean.
Okay.
Because some spouses will do that. They'll push a person into the corner where it actually works against them. I guess she took a psychology class or some crap and knew
Okay.
how much
Yeah.
to push.
Right. Yeah. Push, but don't push too hard, right? Because
Yep,
then you get the Wolverine coming back at you out of that corner, right? Yeah.
exactly.
Um, did you ever? And I'm sure you've seen this in the last couple years here, just the massive influx of nicotine pouch users, whether it's Zyn or On or Rogue or whatever it is. Did you ever dabble with any of that stuff, or were you just a smokeless user the whole time?
Smokeless user,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah,
I
that's
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, and I was the same way. Like I quit before those products became a thing, so I don't have any firsthand knowledge, but it it boggles my mind how similar those experiences are for those people that are quitting that stuff to when we quit dip or chew, right? Which just tells me it's the drug, right? It's not the delivery method, it's the drug.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember you posting something about the Swedish people putting the pouches under their foreskin, and I think I sat there and looked at the computer monitor for like 30
Yeah.
seconds. Just going, what the hell?
Yeah. Addictions will make us do some crazy stuff, won't they?
I don't think I ever got that crazy.
No. Yeah. Yeah. God, you couldn't pay me enough. Where in Mexico are you going?
We were going to it's actually called a town called Chelum. It's right next to Progreso, and
Okay.
which is about 4 hours west of Cancun.
Oh, okay. All right. I've been to Cancun. Okay. And can you fly direct from what, Atlanta?
Well, we're flying direct from Atlanta to Cancun, and then we're going to drive over to
Okay.
Chelum.
Okay. Well, that's good. Well, that's a nice 2 weeks. That's a nice trip. You'd be able to relax a little bit, huh? You don't have
Oh
to
yeah,
work while you're gone, do you?
and I always carry my phone and my laptop with me just in case, but I hope not.
Okay.
I hope not.
All right. Um, so what you got any advice for a day one quitter or a day 100 quitter that's struggling, or somebody that had a long quit that went back to the can? You got any kind of firsthand knowledge that you can pass on?
I mean, I would say from day one to day 30, everybody's almost the same, whether you're a new quitter or a retread. I mean, you just got to grind. It's just a grind. You got to grind through it and go one day at a time. And then after that, when the mind games start messing with your head, you got to pick something else to love. You got to quit thinking about the dip as your long lost love, because it wasn't. And you got to start finding something else to love. Fall in love with the quit.
You know what? That's actually perfect, because I remember, um, God, so let's see. I quit in July, and so I'm in October '06, and I remember I dove headfirst into trying to help December '06. So that was like Franny and those guys. Rest in peace, Franny.
Yeah.
But to your point, like my quit became almost secondary at that point. You know what I mean? And it wasn't that I wasn't focused on it, but it was like I was doing everything I could to help these guys in December. And it certainly didn't take my eye off the prize, but it took my focus off of my struggles and allowed me to, to your point, fall in love with something else. And I think that's really kind of the beauty of the site, right? It's like everybody has these shared experiences, to your point, especially in those first 30 days. They're almost identical for everybody. And then to be able to hear from somebody that's a month or 2 months or a year or two ahead of you and say, hey, this is what you're getting ready to deal with. And then when you hear that a couple of times and it actually quote unquote comes true, right? Then the next time that person says, you're like, oh, I'm going to believe that person because they didn't do me wrong the last time. And I think that's, I don't know about you, but like knowing what to expect for me was so beneficial. It's like, okay, yep, I'm going to feel like shit at day 80. I'm going to feel great on day 100, but then down day 105, I'm going to feel like shit again. Like that was so important to me because it was uncharted territories,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's almost like the quitters ahead of you are giving you a roadmap of what you're getting ready to deal with.
Yeah, that's what makes it so perfect here,
Yeah.
is having that mentorship.
One last question for you. So I know that you and I have talked a little bit about getting some new tokens in terms of like celebrating, year milestones and those kind of things. And I'm actively working on that. Is there anything else in 2024 that you would change about Kill the Can? Whether it's technology, people, mindset, anything that you would change at this point?
No, I mean, for me, I see things working beautifully. I mean, everything works just the way it's supposed to work. I remember the first days when we were starting it up, all the conversations we were having about, and we didn't all agree.
Yeah.
People may think that we all agreed. We didn't all agree. We hashed it out. Worked it out as brothers, and it's impressive to see that foundation is still there. It's really really impressive. It's
Yeah.
humbling.
Yeah, it is. It's really kind of cool. It's I can't remember who it was. Somebody was telling me the other day, was like, oh, you've been quit for so long and blah, blah, blah. I go, hey man, I'm not any better than any other quitter. I'm just like, I just made my decision sooner. Right.
Exactly.
But I had the same struggles, the same questions, the same fears. And I also had the same, to your point, the same brotherhood and the same support that everybody else does. And I think that's, I don't know, it's funny. You try to explain to people what the site means, and I've never really been able to put it into words. It's because it's this very abstract thing, but it is very, very real to me, even after 18, 19 years. It's crazy to me kind of how far it's come and how many people it continues to touch this many years later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, you said something earlier. I don't want you to ever be nervous or guilty or anything like this. When it comes to talking to me, man, you can talk to me whenever you want. You know that. I cannot begin to thank you for everything that you've done for me over the years. And I will be eternally grateful for that. And I hope you know that.
I appreciate that. And likewise, I mean, you've been right there with me the whole time, and I appreciate you.
Cool. Hey, I appreciate you making some time for me. Apologize that I think we were both sick last week. We are going to try to do this last week. I'm glad you're feeling better. And I'm glad we got to talk before you went on vacation. I look forward to hearing how your trip was.
I appreciate it, man. I enjoyed this.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, brother. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Join us again next time for another edition of the Kill the Can podcast.